All right, so I can see our attendees are starting to filter in. Thank you so much for joining us this evening to discuss democracy and the issues facing all of us here in Richmond. We're going to get going in just 1.5 minutes, so please sit tight. And again, thank you for joining us this evening. Okay, I am showing we're right at 4:30, so to respect everyone's time, we're going to get going now. So good evening, everyone. My name is Shayna Furlong. I'm the acting co-CEO of the Richmond Chamber of Commerce. I'd like to start today by recognizing that the Richmond Chamber of Commerce operates on the traditional territory of the Musqueam First Nation. They have lived on this land for millennia, and we're grateful that we can gather here today. Thank you for attending this event tonight on behalf of the Richmond Chamber, and thank you to all of our candidates for joining us this evening. The Richmond Chamber of Commerce has a long history, going back to 1925 and even beyond, of being the nonpartisan voice of business here in Richmond. No matter who is elected on October 24th, we really look forward to working with them and ensuring that Richmond is a prosperous and favorable place to do business. Before I introduce our two amazing moderators, Dr. Greg Millard and Dr. Valérie Vézina, I would like to provide an overview of tonight's event. We are going to be beginning with 2-minute opening remarks from each candidate. Following candidate introductions, we're going to begin the question and answer portion of the event. This part of the event will take two forms. The Richmond Chamber of Commerce has prepared some questions which will be directed at specific writing. All candidates will be given up to 2 minutes for their response, and these will be directed to the candidates, alternating writing and first respondent. The second part of our question and answer period is up to you. So please submit your questions via the Q&A section on Zoom. It should be at the bottom of your screen. We are going to try to get to as many as we can, and those are going to be asked at the discretion of our moderators. Finally, we'll conclude this event with 2-minute closing remarks from each candidate in the same order as their opening statement. I know we have a sold out Zoom this evening, so I'd also like to welcome everyone who is watching over Facebook Live. I'd like to make a huge thank you to our sponsor this evening, Kwantlen Polytechnic University, and now to introduce our moderators. Dr. Gregory Millard is the Associate Dean of Arts and former chair of the Department of Political Science at Kwantlen Polytechnic University. Greg is a specialist in Canadian politics, political thought, and rhetoric. Originally from Montreal, he's lived in the Lower Mainland for 16 years. Greg actually co-moderated the 2019 federal all-candidates debate for the Chamber with the broadcaster Jody Vance, and he is delighted to return for this event. This is, however, his first Zoom debate, as it is for many of us, I'm sure. And Dr. Valérie Vézina teaches political science at Kwantlen Polytechnic University. She's originally from rural Quebec and has lived in many provinces. She has a great interest in provincial politics. She takes a lot of pride calling BC her new home, and since 2018 has lived in the Lower Mainland, a place of very diverse and multicultural horizons. She's passionate about the outdoors and enjoys going for trail runs or long hikes between her Zoom meetings. With no further ado, I will turn it over to our wonderful moderators today, Dr. Millard and Vézina.
Thanks, Shayna. These are obviously extraordinary times, and one test of a democracy is its ability to carry on and even thrive, right, in times like these. So that's why it's so exciting for me to be part of this event and to be able to greet such a large audience and to welcome such engaged candidates. We all saw in Cleveland 2 weeks ago what can happen when a political debate gets out of hand, but I know that everyone here tonight is looking forward to, is committed to a respectful, civil, and vigorous exercise in democracy. So thanks, it's great to be here and welcome everybody.
Yes, I'd like to thank the Richmond Chamber of Commerce for the invitation of co-moderating this debate. I really look forward for the discussion, for hearing the candidates, as I'm sure all voters and people watching are. I think, as Dr. Millard mentioned, democracy only thrives if voters are engaged. I do want to remind that there's many ways to vote and to express your opinion. Advanced polling is starting this Thursday, and it's for like several days. You can mail in, etc. So, and vote obviously on the day of. So hopefully this debate tonight will help you advance your choice and make I guess, enlightening decision. So without further ado, I'll let my colleague, Dr. Millard, just remind the candidates a few rules for the evening.
Right, all the rules were provided to the candidates in advance of this evening, but just a quick reminder of some key guidelines, just to make sure we have a productive evening together. No interruptions, audience, please, but of course people are strongly encouraged to get involved using the Q&A feature in Zoom. During the question and answer period in general, each candidate will be given up to 2 minutes to respond to a question. We ask candidates to respect this limit, and we do reserve the right to mute you, cut you off if you exceed this limit. Of course, candidates are asked not to interrupt each other at any time. The moderators, Dr. Vézina and myself, will rule out of order any question that is deemed inappropriate, offensive, or derogatory. The hosts also reserve the right to edit or delete any questions received via the Q&A mechanism. And finally, a timer is visible to all candidates. Dan Sakaki's background will turn yellow when a candidate has 1 minute left to speak. It will turn red when a candidate has 20 seconds left and should be wrapping things up. And it will turn black when you are at risk of being muted, right? So with that, we can turn to the opening remarks. And each candidate has been given 120 seconds for their opening remarks. The order of the opening and closing remarks was determined via a random draw, and it is as follows. We'll first hear from Teresa Watt of the BC Liberal Party for Richmond North Centre. We will then hear from Henry Yao of the BC NDP for Richmond South, followed by Vernon Wang of the BC Green Party for Richmond North Centre, then Jayden De La Torre, BC NDP, Richmond North Centre, and finally Alexa Liu, BC Liberals for Richmond South. So, Teresa Watt, BC Liberals, Richmond North Centre, you have 2 minutes for your opening statement.
Thank you. I'm Teresa Watt, and I'm proud to have served Richmond North Centre as the MLA since 2013. I'm running as BC Liberal candidate for my 3rd term. I entered public service following years of working in business and news media, including working as a news director for the first ever multilingual TV station in BC and CEO of a Vancouver multicultural broadcasting station. In my 7 years of my political career, moments have touched me, from advancing Richmond Hospital to Little Wings daycare to helping those in need amid pandemic. I heard from constituents and the hospital after I became an elected official that the acute care tower needs a replacement. In 2016, the previous Liberal government and I succeeded in launching the concept plan and securing funding for a business plan. As for Little Wings, which is one of the longest serving daycare in Richmond, they were told that their lease had to be terminated and needed to find another location. After immense efforts, we were able to secure a location and relocation funding for this daycare, saving 40 childcare spaces. With the support of community organization, I was able to coordinate and make 40 deliveries of donated masks, PPE, meals, care packages, food, and check to senior housing, school district, City of Richmond, the hospital, and those in need since March amid COVID-19. I'm looking forward to this evening's conversation. Thank you.
Thank you. Henry Yao, BC NDP, Richmond South, 2 minutes.
Hello, everyone. First of all, I want to thank the host for inviting us for this lovely debate. I also want to take a moment to thank the Coast Salish people for us being able to use this space and be able to celebrate democracy in their unceded territory. My name is Henry Yao. I'm honored to be a BCNDP candidate for Richmond South Centre riding. I'm also excited to join John Horgan and BCNDP to run for this provincial election. As a long-term Richmond resident, and I spent most of my life growing up in Richmond, I call this beautiful and diverse city home, even till today. And one of the things I also involved in the past, I used to be a youth worker at a Richmond South Centre riding, where I served Anderson, General Curry, Cook, Richmond Secondary, and McNeil Secondary. I had the privilege to watch many children growing up, many youth find this innovative, creative way to solve problems. Unfortunately, I also witnessed many families dealing with unnecessary difficulties. For the 16 years of BC Liberal neglect, we have so many service cutbacks that many families are struggling for a time. Life will not become affordable. As the last 3.5 years under John Horgan and BCNDP, I'm so excited to see investment in healthcare, education, childcare, housing, and of course, finding different ways to make life more affordable for average British Columbians and Richmond residents in Richmond South Centre riding. Of course, the promise of a Richmond acute care tower on 2017 was extremely exciting. I know as a part of a BCNDP team, nothing was passed to us. We have to start from scratch. But I'm just really excited that we're definitely moving forward. Money's there, and BCNDP, under John Horgan's leadership, we're ready to build a tower and continue to invest in people in Richmond South Centre riding. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Vernon Wang, BC Greens, Richmond North Centre. 2 minutes, please.
First of all, thank you, Richmond Chamber of Commerce. Thank you, Shanna. Thank you to Dr. Mila, Dr. Vizina, and Dan Sakaki. Thank you so much for your invitation and your moderate. I'm here. My name is Vernon Wang. Yeah, yes, of course. And why I'm here, I bring the new voice. I like the point to Dr. just mentioned. We need exercise democracy. Why BC Green here? I give the voice not just from me, from Sonia Fresno, from the BC Green. What do we bring here? We want to give the voice, very strong voice. We want to share the power. We want to engage and make them responsibility and accountable. It should be important for us, for every resident in BC, in Richmond. My experience here, 16 years ago, I moved here. We can summarize my 16 years just in 3 words and even 3 alphabets. What? Science. I'm evidence-based guy from science. I got a Bachelor of Science degree and then moved to society. I'm SFU Master of the Public Health, that's Law Society, Community Engagement. And right now I jumped here, I'm running for BC Green. What? I'm looking for the system, we call it the systematic change. That's 3S system. Thank you so much. I stopped here and pass to the next one. Thank you.
Thank you. Jaden De La Torre, BCNDP, Richmond North Centre. 2 minutes.
Well, first off, I just want to say thank you to the Richmond Chamber of Commerce for inviting me here tonight, and I look forward to debating with my fellow candidates on the issues important to British Columbians. Well, hi everyone, my name is Jaden De La Torre, and I'm running to be your next MLA for Richmond North Centre. I just want to say thank you to everyone for coming to tonight's debate. I know we are in unique times. Ever since the COVID pandemic happened, we know that it's been difficult for all of us. The choice in this election is going to be who's looking out for you, who's going to be working hard for your family. We know the record of the BC Liberals in government. For 16 years, they left behind working families. This is a record we can't go back to. I'm proud that under the leadership of John Horgan and the BCNDP, we have made record investments into people. We've invested into education, healthcare, public infrastructure, eliminating the MSP premiums, as well as investing to upgrading the Richmond Hospital. The BCNDP has a plan to continue to invest into British Columbians, and if re-elected, we will continue to make life better for you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And Alexa Liu, BC Liberal Party, Richmond South. 2 minutes, please.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you to the Chamber of Commerce for having me here tonight and having all of us here tonight. And I'm really excited to be the BC Liberal candidate for Richmond South Centre. And I'm honored to be taking over the baton from Linda Reid, who served for 29 years in Richmond South Centre, delivering great things to the people of Richmond. I'm also pleased that I've been able to serve on City Council for the last 6 years, in which case I've also been the Chamber liaison. And I've also been serving on the liquid waste for the Metro Vancouver. I'm a mother of 2 boys. I'm a 2-time Olympian in the sport of snowboarding. I competed in Vancouver, representing all of us and all of Canada, and in Torino. I'm a chartered professional accountant, a CA, and I'm currently serving in my 2nd term in my hometown city of Richmond, British Columbia on City Council. And with the BC Liberals, I will work for our community to be the most inclusive, safe, and healthy place to grow up. And to do that, I'm going to work on improving healthcare, getting the Richmond Hospital Acute Care Tower business plan approved and getting it built, improving access to doctors and programs. I want to improve safety. We want to increase the mental health supports to prevent homelessness and crime. I'd like to increase our education, ensuring safe and quality education for our kids. And most importantly, I'd like to rebuild the economy. I'd like to get people working and businesses going again. We're going to cut taxes so more money stays in your pocket. We're going to cut the PST to 0. We're going to end the ICBC monopoly. We're going to replace the Massey crossing and get people moving. And we're going to implement real $10 a day childcare so that people can afford to get back to work. They can afford to have their kids in quality childcare and they can get back to work. And in my council tenure, I'm the most proud that I helped get the Fox 80 car funded and operational. Thank you.
Thanks. So now we come to the question and answer portion of our debate. So I'll begin by directing a question to candidates in Richmond North Centre. And the first one will go out to Teresa Watt. 2 minutes, and then the other candidates in the riding will have 2 minutes. So it'll be Teresa Watt, Vernon Wang, and Jaden De La Torre. So the first question is, if elected, what would your government do to support the redevelopment of the George Massey corridor? And can you tell us why you believe that is the right path forward? So, Teresa Watt.
Thank you, Doctor. Actually, BC Liberal government has started building the crossing of this to replace the George Massey Tunnel in 2017. We have known that this is one of the biggest bottleneck in the whole of British Columbia. And this is a major thoroughfare. That's why when we were in government, we have done many study, and the review report is 18,000 pages long. And eventually, the recommendation is to have a 10-lane bridge. And we started the construction work in 2017. We spent $90-something million on the start of this bridge. But unfortunately, when NDP took over, they just play politics. They just canceled this bridge project and wasting $98 million of taxpayers' money. And you can see a lot of sand, a lot of material still at the crossing. And after 3 years, they still haven't come up with any recommendation. And they say that they're still studying, and they promise that the recommendation will come at the end of the year. And lo and behold, they call this unnecessary slap election and keeping everything on hold. And we are the government that once we are in power, we will start this project going and solve the congestion problem. And this tunnel is not safe either. Everybody who went through the tunnel knows how unsafe it is. If the project went ahead, as the BC Liberal had done, we might have the bridge. Actually, next year, we have solved the largest bottleneck problem in British Columbia. Thank you.
Vernon Wang, 2 minutes.
Okay, thank you. That's a very good topic. You know, the Massey Tunnel is very topic. once Green took power and can take power, I think it should be our priority. Why? Mass Eternal is built how many years It's 1959. At that time, the over 60 years. It means what? We can figure out how many years we delayed. It doesn't matter what party is there, Liberal or the NDP, it doesn't matter. But you already should be finished. That's not should be the topic right now. So my implementation, my focus should be on the implementation. If take power, no other way, just must go. Implementation. For the detail, for the plan, already there. We just do. We need what? One word, do. Thank you so much.
Jaden De La Torre, BC-NDP.
Thank you for that question. Well, I want to first off say that I know people want traffic congestion relief at the George Massey Tunnel without having to pay the unfair tolls. Under our plan, we are moving forward with a toll-free crossing at the George Massey Tunnel. My apologies. With our plan on track for final approval by the end of the year. But with the Liberal plan, what essentially it's doing is that you're going back to a project that most people oppose. Even the mayor of Richmond opposed the 10-lane bridge because of the congestion and traffic that will have an impact on Richmondites. We have a plan to move forward, but with the Liberals' plan, it's going back. We can't afford a BC Liberal do-over. People can't afford this do-over. We have to move steam ahead, and that's what we have. Our plan is to move forward with this new toll-free crossing, unlike the Liberal plan.
Thanks. Okay, I will now ask a question of the candidates of Richmond South. This will go in the order of Alexa Liu, BC Liberals, and then Henry Yao, BC NDP. So the question is, what is your party's vision for the retraining and upskilling who have been negatively impacted by the pandemic? And how do you work with post-secondary institutions to ensure that they have the resources required to address this training need? So 2 minutes to Alexa Liu, BC Liberals.
Thank you.
The floor is yours.
Thank you for that question. Certainly as we come back into getting our economy back on track and getting everyone back to work, there will be some need for retraining. And certainly the government will be looking to partner with post-secondary education. I think it all comes down to innovation. So how we innovate, how we teach people, where we teach people, and what things they're learning how to do. So we're going to see a real need for looking at things differently, new skills training, and new technology training. As technology is catching up with everything, as our need for different bandwidth, different technologies happen, that's where we're really going to have to work together and work with business. So it's not only just sitting on government and the schools together, it's bringing in the businesses, bringing everybody together to really facilitate that. And things like affordable childcare will allow people to go and get retrained, to get back to work, to find the space and the time. I don't know if any of you guys have been trying to train your kids while you're at home, trying to get work done. It's almost impossible. It's putting all the pieces in place together so that you have the supports to get done what you need to do.
Thank you. Henry Yao, BC NDP.
Well, thank you so much for this opportunity to answer that question. Previously, I used to be a youth worker, and I know one thing parents and students care about is education. We want to ensure that we have a strong, functional work labor force in the future where people are educated and advance our economy. I do want to emphasize that when BC Liberal was in government, they tripled the tuition fee and dramatically increased the students' debt. BC NDP, we eliminated interest on BC student loans, helping ensure students who have to borrow for their education don't have to pay more than the student who didn't have to borrow. I don't know about you, but I have heard so many stories about medical school students still paying their student loan due to the interest rate in the past. But we're very excited to continue putting students first. We also want to mention that BC Liberal canceled the needs-based grants for students who really need them. We, as a BC NDP, we funded 27,000 apprenticeship, I apologize on that one, and foundation training seats in public-private institutes across BC, and ensure the province have a skilled worker in the future. Under BCNDP and John Hogan's leadership, I know we will strive towards in the future to ensure BC is competitive and will continue to produce the highest level trained employees to serve our economy and serve our population.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have received a few questions from our attendees, from the voters, your voters, and I have questions actually for directed for the candidates in Richmond North Center. So I'd like to go in the following order. We'll start with Vernon Wang, and then Jaden De La Torre, and then Teresa Watt. And the question is the following. Given the role of the federal government flowing supporting funds during the pandemic, how do you intend to continuing working with the federal government to ensure BC doesn't get left behind?
That's a very good question. You know, the federal support is here. Where the BC support? I think we should have two kinds of support. You know, if the BC Green, we can get the power. What we can do? We divide it by for the business side and non-business side. I found right now so far NDP did some, but it's not enough for the people lose job. Yeah, they lay off. It's not enough for this kind of, and also not enough for the business side. How to support the small business? You know, in the Richmond, that's a fundamental issue. You know, the small business, restaurant, they need support. What's your plan? What's your subsidy? We didn't see that. What's your rental plan and the substantial support for the small business? So the BC Green have we have the bunch of the plan support the small business side. So I think we should care the both sides, business side and non-business side, and work quite well with the federal level and make the Richmond and North Center a very strong, solid prosperity just past the pandemic. That's my plan. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Vernon. Jaden De La Torre, your turn.
Yeah. Well, thank you for asking me that question. Well, I just want to reiterate that our government has been working well with our federal partners. We've had a very collaborative relationship since the start of this pandemic. We've supported local businesses. We've provided the COVID supports that people need in partnership with the federal government, and we'll continue that partnership until this pandemic is over. Thank you.
Thank you. Teresa Watt, your turn.
Oops, Teresa appears to be muted, so hold on a moment.
Teresa, you're muted. Yes, sorry.
Oh, I don't know
Okay,
why.
there we go.
Yeah, sorry about that. Thank you for the question. In the last 16 years and when BC Liberal was in government, we have proven a good track record of working collaboratively with the federal government, different from the BC NDP. Look at the last 3 years, they haven't been really talking to the federal government, the same as when they were in power in the 10 years during the 1980s. That's why when we are in government, we will work with the federal government. Just look at the 5 million emergency funding that all the parties, all the Green Party, BC Liberal official opposition party, that we have an emergency legislature meeting. We passed that without any question. We think that this pandemic is so serious that we don't want to play the role of opposition. We just passed it without any question. But lo and behold, look at what this NDP government has done. They hold on to the money, and just a few days before they knew that they're going to call the slap election, and then they announced a so-called economic recovery and letting British Columbia, letting BC economy suffer for so many years. It doesn't really make sense. And then they announced $1,000 to British Columbian whose salaries under 125,000. And why didn't they give the money earlier? That shows that BC NDP is just playing politics, and they have their own political agenda. They don't really take into the interest of British Columbia into their heart, which is really ridiculous because they call this slap election totally because they see the opinion poll that they are high in the opinion. They want to form the majority government and going against the agreement with the Green Party. So we can see this government is totally not trustworthy. Thank you.
Thank you, Teresa. I have another questions from the public, and now it's addressed for the candidates in Richmond South Center. And I'll ask Henry Yao to first answer, and then Alexa to then answer the question. So the question is the following. Cross-cultural issues are a major topic of concern recently in BC and elsewhere, and we need experienced voices to build bridges between cultures. What experience do you have dealing with cross-cultural issues and international relations?
Well, thank you so much for the question. And unfortunately, it is a very difficult situation we're dealing with in Richmond. We are a very diverse and beautiful city, and I personally find it in love to live in this beautiful city. However, one of the challenges we often have is a cross-cultural dialogue. So back in the past, when there was a temporary modular housing initiative, when there's talking about SOGI 123, I actually went out of my way connecting with various community organizations. I actually went out of my way to speak to different level of authority of government and bring everybody together to have a really strong conversation. And in the conversation dialogue, we try to ensure everybody have an educated, well understood opportunity to understand the full picture. If I have an honor to serve Richmond South Center as an MLA, I will be dedicated to ensure every constituent. It's not even about Mandarin or Cantonese or Punjabi. It's about every language they can come in. We will find a way to ensure their voice is heard. Because if we don't understand their voice, we fail as elected officials. I do want to emphasize a very important thing, that for 16 years for BC Liberal government, if we look at, we had all BC Liberal MLAs, yeah, we're looking at cutback in service in mental health. We have not built a Richmond hospital, even though they keep on talking about it, but it was never really put together under their government. That is 16 to do everything. And we're talking about 3 to 4 elected officials, all within the party, supposed to represent our voice. That's the reason why I'm so excited to join John Horgan and BCNDP to be a voice for Richmond South Center writing. Doesn't matter what kind of cultural background or individual gender identity, the goal is to ensure a person's voice heard, and we'll collect them together and ensure we have a government who's responsible to everybody in British Columbia, not just the elite people.
Thank you, Henry. Alexa, your turn.
Thank you for your question. Over my 6 years on City Council, we've certainly seen a lot of opportunities and changes within Richmond. And we put together a cultural harmony strategy. And we did that by bringing people together to hear what their issues and ideas were, to create something, to create a plan to move forward, to find ways to bring more people together. We created festivals that brought people together. And I think the key to moving forward on this is really having a mind for what we are as a community as a whole. We're all families. We're all people who care about the environment. We're all people who worry about paying our bills at the end of the day. We're all people who love our kids and want them to grow healthy and happy. And we all want to be safe and feel like we can walk around on our streets. And those are the issues that bring us together. And those are the issues that we have to focus on as we work forward. I will also commit to having a Chinese-speaking constituency assistant in my office to make sure that everyone's voice can be heard and understood when they come in and they bring their ideas forward. I think what we really need to focus on is getting our economy going, because as parents, no matter what race, creed, belief you have, you're still trying to pay your bills. You're still trying to look after your kids. You still want to know that there's a doctor at the hospital that'll look after your child. So it's making sure we get the hospital built. It's making sure there's jobs for people. It's making sure that goods and services move back and forth over the river and they're not stuck in that bottleneck for the next 10 years. So that's part of what's going to create cultural harmony, is bringing us all together and not creating divisions amongst us in our tax rules and other things. So in the past, the NDP government have tried to single out different people, increasing the foreign buyers tax, so making an us and them situation with everybody. It's always splitting everybody up. You're a newcomer, you're going to be treated differently. That's not what we want. We want a community that welcomes people that everyone is a part of.
Thank you so much. Greg, that's your turn.
Thank you, Dr. Vizina. So I'm going to ask a question of Richmond North Center. And this will go in the order of Jaden De La Torre, Teresa Watt, and Vernon Wang. So the question is, if elected, how will your government make housing more affordable for workers and their families? Jaden De La Torre.
Sorry about that. Well, thank you for asking me that question. I know, being young, I know housing is a very important issue to people in my generation. You know, one of the biggest problems facing people today, it's housing. And the reason why housing is such a big issue is that for 16 years, the liberals put speculators and developers ahead of people. You know, we saw them for the 16 years they were in government. We saw that they ignored speculation as homes started to go up. Sorry, the prices of homes started to get up. You know, they allowed allowed huge rent hikes higher than inflation, opposed our caps. And so that affected people in my generation to be able to afford a home. So what we've been doing that's different from their approach is that we've been investing into people to be able to afford affordable homes. So we put the brakes on skyrocketing prices. We enacted a speculation tax that's dealing with this crisis. We've capped rents at inflation. You know, we're on track for building about 58,000 more housing over 58,000 more housing over a 5-year plan. You know, we're tackling the rising cost of strata insurance. So our approach is to invest in people to be able to afford housing so they can live in the communities that they grew up in rather than being forced out and moving off to somewhere that they have no connection to. So that's our plan, and that is our approach. And for the first time in 16 years, we have a government that's been putting people first.
Thank you. Teresa Watt, BC Liberal Party.
Thank you, Doctor. Typical of NDP, making promises and never carry through. The NDP has broken their promises to ensure affordable housing option for British Columbians. They promised, just remember, they promised 114,000 more affordable homes, but lo and behold, how many have they opened? Less than 3,000. To be exact, it's 2,963. And it will take more than 100 years for the NDP to reach their housing target. And housing prices, rents, property taxes continue to grow, making housing even less affordable. So what is NDP talking about? That is their agenda. That is their slogan when they have the 2017 campaign. And I have to remind British Columbia, just remember NDP's all the empty promises. How can you elect another NDP who never carry through their promises? In contrast, our party leader, Andrew Wilkinson, this morning already announced our platform. We will implement the most comprehensive housing affordability strategy in North America to provide new supply and affordable housing options for you and all British Columbians. I just cite a couple of incentives. We will establish an incentive fund for municipality and housing policies that enable demonstrable increases in the construction and supply of new housing. And we will encourage the partnership with the municipality so that they can boost the housing supply, including the rental and market housing, to increase choices and improve affordability for British Columbians. And we will also review the official community plans every 5 years that are public, robust, and transparent, require the zoning bylaws then be updated to reflect changes to the plan within 1 year after adoption, and allow for the waiving of hearings for official community plan compliant projects. Thank you.
Thank you. And Vernon Wang, BC Greens.
Thank you so much. That topic is very interesting and very important topic. You know, the BC Green is here. You know, I listened to the NDP, liberal NDP, they repeat. They talk a lot of the issue, but they didn't get point. Why? They didn't get point. You know, everything here, housing, the two priority. Housing, we can't leave anyone behind because it shows what? Human rights. Because you are human. You have the right to stay, to live, you should have the house. Second, the housing is the commodity. They have the commercial function. So people looking for the profit is reasonable, for sure, reasonable. So how to balance that? It's the supply and the demand function. Liberal sharply increase the demand, but do nothing or little on the supply. NDP sharply limit the demand and also did nothing for supply. We know what happens here. Demand change, nothing on the supply. What happens? Imbalance. If the Greens sit here, we will do the both sides, demand side and the supply side, for the balance. Economic balance, people balance, everyone happy, society happy. That's my point. Thank you.
Thanks. So here's a question for the candidates from Richmond South. We'll go with Henry Yao, BC NDP first, followed by Alexa Liu, BC Liberals. And the question is, how will you support investing in BC's growing agri-tech sector? So, Alexa Liu.
Who goes first?
Yeah, sorry about that. Alexa Liu.
You mentioned my name. I apologize for that.
Yeah, no, I might have erred. Sorry about that.
No worries.
Right. Well, duck and weave. Thank you for that. Thank you for your question. How will I support BC's agri-tech industry? I think this is a two-pronged approach, obviously, that we'll have to have for it. So first of all is the technology side, the tech side of agri-tech, is making sure that we've got the innovation and the know-how to come in and create those innovations. So it's something like what we're already doing with the City of Richmond, where we are partnering with KPU to create, the farming project that we've got up on the Garden City lands. It's creating those partnerships with the different organizations that can grow the technology. Then it's the agricultural side of things. So you have a huge industry of people that are very well versed in what they're already doing. They know what they're doing. It's getting those two pieces together so that they have the incentive then to keep investing in their own businesses. So they have to know that their goods are going to get to market. They have to know that they're not just going to be stuck at the tunnel at a bottleneck. They need to know that their goods can get on the boats and get to the ports. They need to know that the products can get out to where they're needed. And so it's making sure that you've got your supply chain working. It's knowing that you've got support for your investments. And you have to, anyone investing in agri-tech, they're investing a lot of money into that. And so they need to know that they've got enough of a horizon that they can plan around and know that they can continue growing, that they'll have the workers that'll come and work and do the jobs, that they know that there'll be the ability for them to continue to run their business. And so it's putting all those pieces together that's what's really going to grow our agri-tech.
And Henry Yao, BC NDP.
Thank you so much. I do apologize for interrupting earlier. So thank you so much for the question. Agri-tech is extremely important for our future generations. As moving forward, space getting more and more limited, young people keep on talking to me, what are we going to ensure we have food security? Climate change has become a huge kind of pressure upon us, especially in this kind of COVID time. If you look at BC Liberal want to remove PST, but if you ever go to grocery store to buy your groceries, those all don't get impacted by PST. I do want to emphasize that BCNDP, we are supporting new companies for bringing innovation to agriculture. We will increase support for agri-tech technology to BC, Canada, Innovation Program. I apologize for the pronunciation there. Helping BC companies to grow, hire more workers, and position our province as agri-tech leader in North America, and hopefully, and while we still maintain our goal of protect our agricultural land. Because in the end, it's about food security and it's about supporting our industries. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
So moving again to questions from our audience. So I have questions for the candidates in the Richmond North Centre. We'll start with the BC Liberal candidate, Ms. Watt, then go to the BC Green Party, and finally the BC NDP. So the question is the following. Will your party agree to help form a government if the results are a minority government?
Oh, definitely. Even though last time, I'm sure all of you remember in 2017, actually we have one more seats than NDP. Our popularity vote, we also have more than the NDP. And we were given the first opportunity to form the government by the then Lieutenant Governor. And we did form the cabinet. And then because NDP voted against our confidence vote, and so the choice is to talk to the third party, Green Party, to form a minority government. And we stick to our principle because the Green Party's condition is to scrap Site C. Site C is one thing, and they have a referendum on proportional representation. What's the third one? You suddenly get out my mind. Oh, LNG, sorry, LNG. You know that we have been working so hard on promoting LNG because it's a very important natural resources for us. And we cannot agree with a Green Party. And yet, NDP agreed with Green Party on the free condition. Look at what NDP has done. Again, sold out Green Party. They carry on with the Site C. They carry on with LNG. I'm sure, Vernon, you must be mad, right? They signed the CASA agreement with your former leader, Andrew Weaver, agreeing not to have LNG, not to have Site C, and yet they have done all those. So next time, if this election, the result is it has to be formed a minority government, Green Party has to think carefully whether you are going to partner with a party that doesn't carry out their promise. I think it's very clear this time during this slap election. Green Party has agreed not to upset this government. They agreed to ensure. Thank you.
Thank you, Teresa. Vernon, your turn.
I'm mute. The question is very interesting. The talk about the minority. From the view of the BC Green, we happy to see the minority, even the last 3.5 years there. But the experience at the end is not quite happy. We can feel the Sonia first no, so frustrated. That's kind of not just the party to party. I find that's the probably. I can't say that, it's not polite, it's not polite. At least you should let your partner know we should have the election soon, and we need a discussion or negotiate. And you can feel a couple of weeks ago, you can feel our caucus and the Estonia First know what's the response. Totally, that's the wrong time to have the election. But we didn't go in the depths for why it happened and how angry. No way for here. But we just talk about the minority. For the Liberal or the NDP, it's all possible. But of course, we will argue some with the partner. But Liberal have a chance, I think so. Yeah. But anyway, thank you so much. It depends for caucus decide, not me. Thank you.
Thank you. And we'll finish up with Jayden De La Torre.
Thank you for that question. Well, if it's in the interest of British Columbians, yes. But just want to point out that the reason, I know people have been saying that we broke the agreement with the Green Party, but we didn't. We had an agreement with the Green Party to form a minority government, and they broke that agreement. And that's why we are in the situation that we are now. We had 2 bills that were supposed to be passed in the last parliamentary session, and they voted against it. They voted against our policies, and there was an agreement to work together. And so, again, whatever the results may be on the election, provide if it is a minority government, again, open to working with whoever. But, I just want to set the facts straight that that's what happened in the last situation, in the last parliament. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We'll move now to the candidates of Richmond South Centre. And I guess we're going to start with Henry this time, and then, yes, go to Alexa, just so that we're clear on this one. So the question is the following. Seniors have borne the brunt of the pandemic. what plans do you have to ensure seniors are safe, especially in long-term care facilities?
Well, thank you so much for asking a really good question. And I will be honest, I do have two elderly parents, and I actually have spent a lot of time going out of my way to ensure that they get proper grocery picked up, have food to be prepared for. As I'm pretty sure Teresa Watkin testified very clearly that with Chinese community, we really care about seniors. We want to ensure our seniors are really truly looked after. So I do want to emphasize that during the BC level of 16 years neglect, they actually underpaid staff who were forced to work in multiple facilities, and that's been spreading the COVID-19, which we have to reverse the policies. This contribute to the outbreak and make the pandemic worse. They changed laws to allow privatization and cuts. Seniors advocate that 9 in 10 care homes were not adequately staffed under the BC Liberals. What's BCNDP going to do on the job board leadership? We have hired 7,000 new workers in long-term and assisted living. We ended multi-facility staffing that was spreading COVID-19. We expanded public home care so seniors can live safely and independently. Seniors are important to us because they have contributed so much to our society. And I think as any government, especially under the job board and BCNDP, we want to ensure our seniors are truly looked after and they can live the rest of their life with dignity and comfort. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Henry. Alexa, your turn.
Thank you. So I know we all care about our seniors. I also have senior parents. I had both my grandparents ended up spending the rest of their life in the care homes here in Richmond, and where they actually received excellent care during the Liberal time. And so the Liberal government is planning to put $1 billion over 5 years for new long-term facilities, and ensuring that people who want it will be able to have a private room if they want one. We're also going to be having an independent review of seniors' homes to make sure that everybody gets the care that they need and to figure out where things fell apart. We're also going to have a $7,000 a year credit for families so that they can keep their seniors at home if they so choose, to refit their homes, to make it more possible to stay at home with their families. During this pandemic, many of us were able to be at home, and many of us were able to maybe take our parents or grandparents back home into our homes and look after them at home. And maybe this is a better option for many more families. I certainly know many families in Richmond who live multi-generationally and prefer to keep their seniors at home with them. We're also going to be addressing worker shortages, and we are doing everything we can to look at how we're going to look after our seniors. We've got a steady plan to do this, and we're going to put the dollars behind it. We're not just going to talk about hiring some more people. We're going to build new facilities, and we're going to make sure we have the worker shortage dealt with and trained workers that are ready to come to work and ready to look after our seniors. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, we have a question for Richmond North Centre, and the order here will be Vernon Wang, Jaden De La Torre, and Teresa Watt. So the question is, we have a second health crisis in British Columbia, the overdose epidemic. How will your party work to end the overdoses and deaths caused by toxic street drugs? So Vernon.
Yeah, thank you. That's the question. You know, almost get there. That's we call it the second crisis here. But BC Greens here, our announcement should be there. You know, for the toxic crisis, the best way is the regulation. We set the regulation, and then what else? We do the monitor the trend and the data collection, do the analysis. What's the next one? And also the health policy follow there. So regulation, monitor, analyze the trend, and the policy setup. So that's the rule we should follow to dealing with the second crisis of the overdose of the drugs. So that's my plans here. Thank you.
Thank you. Jaden De La Torre.
Well, thank you for asking that question. It is I just want to remind people that we have to remember that too many lives have been lost in this crisis, whether they're family, friends, coworkers, neighbors, people that we know, that this is a very serious crisis. And so while I will commend that the Liberals in their time in government did take some positive steps like expanding harm reduction, however, they failed to tackle the issue comprehensively. They didn't declare that this was a public health emergency until 2016 when the crisis was already out of control. So what we've done, and there is no magic bullet solution, but this is what we've been doing to fight so we can solve this issue. We created the first Ministry of Mental Health and Addiction. We've added 800 treatment beds and built new treatment recovery / detox facilities across BC. We're continuing to work with Dr. Bonnie Henry to expand access to safe prescription alternatives to separate people from toxic street drugs. As well, we'll fast track the move to decriminalization, join with the Canadian Association of Police Chiefs to call on the federal government to work on this issue so that they can free up the police to go after the big criminals who are selling and making these drugs, as well to free up resources for healthcare. Thank you.
And Teresa Watt.
Thank you. We were so excited when the BC NDP established the Ministry of Mental Health in the first time in the history of British Columbia. But unfortunately, as typical NDP, they just announced something, but they never carry through. The ministry doesn't have much budget and is under Ministry of Health. And under NDP's watch, the number of people who die from overdose is a record number. This is extremely heartbreaking. Tragically, the crisis of opioid addiction and fatal overdoses has increased, as I said, to take record numbers of British Columbian lives. So when BC Liberal government is in power, we will treat the causes and prevent the harm. We will increase addiction treatment and recovery program and ensure those who need help getting off drugs have a clear pathway to treatment. And unlike the NDP's approach of simply warehousing people with addiction, they just warehousing them to hotels without any support, no support whatsoever. So we have to clearly recognize that addiction is a medical disorder and ensure a focus on public health and safety in the treatment of people suffering from addiction. We have to increase mental health support in public secondary school, such as registered psychiatric nurses. We have to introduce a Safe Care Act to safely and ethically help young people with addiction into treatment, and the funding discrimination that continues to disqualify abstinence-based treatment programs. And we have to implement a provincial prescription drug monitoring program to prevent addiction with early referrals to specialist care and treatment options. So we can tell BC Liberal government really have a comprehensive plan on how to eliminate this overdose, different from this NDP government under their watch.
Thank you. Question for the candidates from Richmond South, and this will be in the order of Alexa Liu, followed by Henry Yao. So the question is, unsustainably high property taxes were believed to threaten the viability of many small businesses even before the pandemic. Are you in favor of ending highest and best use, also known as split assessment taxation of small business? Why or why not? So Alexa, please.
Thank you for that question. Short answer, yes. I'm in favor of split assessments. We've seen all too often that you have a small business on a corner property, say, that could be a giant multi-story complex, and they're taxed at the highest rate. And they're bearing the brunt of what it could be and not what it is. And so we're basically, the tax burden for the entire community is unfairly placed on that small business, on the small businesses who are just trying to do the same thing they've always done. They haven't done anything different with the way they operate. They're trying to do this, provide the same services the same way they always have. And suddenly it's determined that they're a multi-million-dollar tax base, which they're not. So splitting the assessment makes inherent sense. And that's something I would absolutely fight for. And the BC Liberal government will be implementing.
Henry Yao.
Great, thank you so much. Like I said, this is definitely a subject that's important to British Columbians. Small business and medium-sized business is the backbone of our economy, and property tax under the John Horgan BCNDP government is the second lowest in Canada right now. What we're trying to do, we're trying to ensure small business a viable strategy to moving forward. And if the split tax is something that's important to our small business regarding property tax, if I have the honor to be an MLA for Richmond South Center, we'll definitely ensure we advocate for small business to ensure there's a prosperity and economic recovery plan. I also do want to emphasize that John Horgan has invested John Horgan and BCNDP has invested $1,000 for families and $500 for singles. And the goal is not to generate consumers to actually support small business by creating consumers to be able to purchase products. We need to have a kickstart of the economy. We need to focus on things that's not like PST for 1 year. Only the people who can afford to spend the money will save more money on that. BCNDP and John Horgan has an economic plan to move forward, and we have included small business and medium-sized business within it. We have come out with to around 15,000 small and medium-sized business to actually overcome the challenge and save 200,000 jobs. We even have a 15% tax credit to encourage small business to hire new employees. John Horgan and BCNDP do truly care about small business and medium-sized business, but we want to succeed. We want to ensure everyone in British Columbia succeed together. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you. So we have another question from one of the attendees, and this question is for the candidates in the Richmond North Centre. I'll start with the answer from the BC NDP candidate, followed by the BC Liberal Party, and finally by the BC Green Party. So the question is, what is your party's plan to fix the issues with automobile insurance in British Columbia, and what does this plan look like? Jaden.
Sorry about that. My thing a little bit froze. So thank you for that question. So we know that people have been paying too much for car insurance for too long. And we know that the issue with ICBC, because of the BC Liberals, they raided ICBC to pay for tax cuts to their wealthy friends. So what we're doing is we're cleaning up the mess that the BC Liberals created for the 16 years they were in government. So we're saving you 20% on your insurance with enhanced care starting in May 2021. We've stopped the 40% BC Liberal rate hike. We've passed laws so that the BC Liberals can't raid ICBC again and drive up the cost. We've helped we're moving forward by making sure that it is affordable and that people can get, ensuring that people get their fair share and that people aren't paying too much, unlike what the Liberal Party did. Thank you.
Thank you, Jaden. Teresa, your turn.
Thank you, Doctor. For 3 years, John Horgan and the NDP have driven up auto insurance rates and have made driving unaffordable for people, especially young drivers. The young drivers, some of them has their, rates as high as $5,000. It used to be about $1,700 the most. So a BC Liberal government will officially end the ICBC monopoly by opening up the automobile insurance market to competition from the private sector, so drivers can shop for the best possible rate, along with lower premiums for young drivers to give them a break at a time in life when they need it the most. Most young people, they need a car to try to take a part-time job. But right now, the premium is so high that it's impossible for them. The premium is even higher than the car they own. So BC drivers are tired of being gouged by John Horgan and the NDP. The ICBC monopoly is a failure, and it's time to offer drivers cheaper rates. That's what competition will do, and that's what the BC Liberal will deliver. We need to have a choice. I think for a government, we got to deliver choices for British Columbia instead of the government deciding everything for you, for your future. That's not BC Liberal government is after. We want to give you equal opportunity. We want to give you as much choice as you have. When we hear stories of young people with clean driving records, stuck with bills of over $5,000, as I said earlier, it's clear the system is failing and need to be fixed. Young people face enough pressure this day, so the BC Liberal will make sure they have affordable auto insurance, not only for everybody, but especially for the young people exposed now under COVID-19. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Vernon.
Thank you. ICBC, that's the long history here. That's in 1970 something, ICBC formed. I don't talk about their intention, why we built the ICBC at the time. We just talk right now, the year by year, what happens. The cost increase. We didn't see the hope. No stop. But go back to the government. It doesn't matter the Liberal or the NDP government. How do you handle that? I know that's the baby of the NDP government, so they don't want to touch it. I know that. And also go back to the Liberal. It will happen in Gordon Campbell time, but unfortunately, we didn't see anything happen in Gordon Campbell. I don't hope it will. Andrew Wilkinson will fix any problem for ICBC. But if the ball throws to the Green Party, I think what we can do for the ICBC, the problem here, we should include some competition for the ICBC, for the insurance here. But what we can do, we keep some coal. We keep some coal for the public. We keep some. But the rest, we invite competition. The reason, the principle is quite simple, but just you like or you want, you're willing to do or not. But BC Green, I think we must do that if you can vote correct. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We'll now turn for questions to our candidates in Richmond South Centre. And again, we'll start with Henry, or a candidate for the BC NDP, followed by the Liberal, BC Liberal candidate, Alexa. So the question is, specifically, how will you address, how your party will address anti-Asian racism and violence seen during this pandemic?
Well, thank you very much, and it is a topic dear to my heart. To be honest with you, Richmond is privileged. Due to our diversity and connection with Asian culture and Indo-Pacific communities, we are actually the first community to start wearing face masks before its mainstream community realized the importance of wearing face masks to limit the transmission of COVID-19. COVID-19 pandemic has caused us a lot of harm in our community and a lot of harm in our economy. The reality is, under BC Liberal 16 years of neglect, they actually terminated the Human Rights Commission. And BC NDP, we brought it back to realize human rights is priority. When we're combating racism, when we're combating a lot of discrimination, we must understand we must have a fair ground. That's the reason why I'm so excited to jump with the BC NDP to fight to have a voice in the legislature. Again, I know I'm being repeating myself, but I want to go back to the square one. For 16 years, the BC Liberal neglect, and they have forgotten Richmond. Richmond in healthcare investment, it didn't happen for the hospital for 16 years. When we talk about investment in education, when we talk about investment in housing and childcare, now during this election, all of a sudden they pretend they actually have done all of this. John Hogan, BC NDP has done everything we can to get proper dialogue, proper representation of Richmond South Centre writing voices. When people come to my constituents, I want to ensure not just that people speak Mandarin, not people just speak Cantonese, but many all our language. People who are coming from different cultures who are seeking to have opportunity to express, will ensure the channels prepared. Will ensure that their voice is heard. Because Richmond South Centre and Richmond BC deserve to have a voice and deserve for their voice to be heard at BC Legislature. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And now we're moving on to our candidate for the BC Liberal Party, Alexa.
Thank you for your question. And certainly, I think we're all angered and sickened by the anti-Asian and anti-anybody acts of violence that we've seen. We've seen people just being unfairly treated and not being treated well. The BC Liberal government will bring in 200 new police officers to help keep law and order and help keep people safe. We're also going to help treat people who have addictions and treat the cause to prevent the harm. We have people who are suffering from mental health issues. We're having people who are afraid on the streets for various different reasons. That when people don't feel safe, that's when they start lashing out at each other and being negative. So it's making sure that we have a safer environment for all of our kids to grow up in. It's helping young people with addictions and getting them the help that they need. Improving our access to health. the BC Liberal government is looking to increase online booking of medical appointments and reducing wait times so that you can get the help that you need, so that we're not creating more people who are homeless, more people who have addictions, and more people who are committing crimes down in the downtown east side and hurting other people. And so this is what we're looking at. We're looking at ending the backlogs, getting the help that people want, and creating a more healthy, safe environment. And that's what it does. We're also looking at not being divisive. We're not trying to create an us and them. We're trying to help everybody so that we're not singling out any particular group, because today it might be Asians and tomorrow it's going to be somebody else. So instead of creating division every time, keep talking about them, your friends. No, we're all friends. We're all a community. We're all working together. We're going to look after everybody's health and safety. And this is what's important. And this is how we're going to prevent acts of violence against people, is by keeping everybody safe and giving everybody the mental and health supports that they deserve. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Dr. Millard.
Right. Well, we have time for one more round of questions. The timing is a little tight, so some brevity, if people could be, that would be great. But I will first ask candidates from Richmond North Centre, starting with Teresa Watt, followed by Vernon Wang, and concluding with Jayden De La Torre. What is your party's vision for a post-COVID future?
Thank you for that question. It's a great question. Our party, led by Andrew Wilkinson, when we formed the government, it's important that right now with COVID-19, because all Western government have to spend money to ensure the safety and health of all British Columbians and ensure that small business will continue to thrive, everybody will still have a job. But at the same time, we got to make sure that we have to jumpstart the economy. That's extremely important. If we just focus on the health and safety without working at the same time, jumpstart the economy, where will the money come from? The money doesn't grow on trees like NDP think it is. They never know how to manage the economy. Their track record has shown so clearly that they only know how to spend. BC Liberal has a good track record of fiscal management, but this time around, we are not going to go for fiscal balanced budget because we have to spend the money. As I said, our leader has decided to spend money to ensure the safety and health of British Columbia. At the same time, that's why we eliminate PST. That's why we eliminate small business tax, because we want to help the small business. Don't forget that 98% of our business are comprising small businesses, and they employ 1 million people. And don't forget the tourism industry as well. NDP has done nothing to the tourism industry, even though they begged for 680 million from the NDP government. All they give is just a fraction of what they ask for. They don't care about the tourism industry. They are the one that generate revenue for us. Just remember, NDP has remembered that we got to provide a business-friendly environment so that we will have jobs provided to British Columbia. At the same time, we will generate revenue and we will ensure that British Columbia have a safe and thriving future. Thank you.
Thank you. Vernon Wang, BC Greens.
Thank you. The topic is very good. Economic recovery. Pandemic disaster for us. Pandemic, that's the big challenge. Post-pandemic is a huge challenge for us, but BC Green, we foresee what? Opportunity. That's the opportunity. We can think back again. It doesn't matter, Liberal or the NDP sit here. What's their plan go back? They go back to their traditional industry, for sure. But once everything done, everything is back, Green, what we can do? We will do the new model we call sustainability. The model is the model for the economic development, and not just for the economic recovery. It always also combines ecological wisdom, we care the social justice, and we respect diversity. It's not just the people's diversity. It care about respect about your neighbor, your relative, and even the nature. So once we build that kind of a model, we call it sustainability, we give the next generation, next, what do we leave for them? The future, prosperity. So that's BC Green's plan for our economic recovery. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Jaden De La Torre, BC NDP.
Thank you for that question. So we know that we are looking towards that post-COVID world, but I think one thing we have to remember first is that people are the economy. By helping people succeed, we can build a recovery for everyone. The liberals want to talk about how they were fiscal, they had good fiscal management. Well, when the 16 years they were in government, they had an economy that only worked for the richest. And we made up for that by cuts in the public services. And this pandemic exposed the holes in the public services that the liberals left behind. What we've been doing is we've been investing back into people, investing back into healthcare, investing back into education and public services and so on and so forth. Because in a post-COVID world, we need to have a strong healthcare system so we can deal with pandemics like this if another one were to occur, a couple years down the line. By investing into healthcare, listening to doctors, training doctors and nurses, listening to the science behind this. And so in this post-COVID world, we will be prepared for the next couple of years down the line because we have made the investments into healthcare. We will learn from the mistakes that happen now. So in the future, should this happen again, we are prepared. And just to note, I hope everyone remembers that, again, this pandemic exposed the very big holes that our system had because of the 16 years of BC Liberal neglect. Thank you.
Thank you. Right, we're now at time for the closing remarks. I was hoping we'd have one more chance at Richmond South. Unfortunately, time has not worked in our favor. Okay, so the closing remarks will go down in the same order as the opening remarks. So that would be Teresa Watt, Henry Yao, Vernon Wang, Jaden De La Torre, and Alexa Liu. So your closing remarks, Teresa Watt, please.
I would like to thank the two doctors for emceeing such an excellent forum. I really appreciate that. And you keep us all disciplined. Thank you. And also I'd like to thank the Richmond Chamber of Commerce for initiating this forum for us to engage in the discussion. This is extremely helpful to me. And I know what my other colleagues are thinking about. And most important of all, thank you for your time. Thank you for all the participants that are now watching us and spending the last 1.5 hours. I'm hoping to serve you for another term. There are many issues at hand for this election. I will just highlight my 3 priorities. The first one is supporting pandemic recovery. We need to support people in need during this time, as well as our economy. I support a strong social safety net, the reduction of the PSC to 0% for the 1 year, and bold investment in infrastructure to create new jobs. Number 2, renewing and expanding Richmond Hospital. The BC Liberal took action on a new acute care tower at Richmond Hospital in 2016, and the NDP has sat on their hands for 3 years without a single dollar being allocated towards it. I will work to ensure that the project gets built. Number 3, fixing the NDP insurance mess. From ICBC to Strata Insurance, we have seen unreasonable premium hikes, making life unaffordable. I will fight for more competition and lower rates. If there's one thing you expect from me, is dedication to my constituents. If entrusted with your vote, I promise to continue standing up for Richmond and standing up for you. I'm asking for support. Please support me, Teresa Watt, WAT, on October 24. Thank you.
Thank you. Henry Yao.
Hello. Well, first of all, thank you so much, Richmond Chambers, for this opportunity to share our views. I also want to take a moment to share both moderators and thank all the audience. Of course, I also want to take a moment to thank all the candidates for attending today's debate. It takes honor and takes a lot of courage to take on this election opportunity. However, I do want to emphasize one important thing. Richmond needs a voice. My name is Henry Yao. I'm going to be honored to be a BC NDP candidate for Richmond South Centre. And for 16 years of BC Liberal neglect, I have witnessed that BC Liberal not passing the concern to both Richmond to the legislature. They talk about a hospital, but the reality is a hospital plan was started by 2017 under BC NDP governance. both MLAs, both candidates from BC Liberal were there during the announcement. And we actually have a plan, we have the money, and the shovels going into the ground in 2021. They can claim as much as they want that for 3.5 years, they haven't seen much of action. But I do want to remind everybody, for 16 years, they cut back. Just like my colleagues spoke very clearly, we are playing catch up. They gave us an ICBC dumpster fire after they withdraw money out of it like a piggy bank. And they say it's our fault. ICBC was working until they got their head into it and turned it into a piggy bank. And I want to again emphasize, we will have a far better COVID-19 response, far better come to respond to the pandemic if we continue to invest in healthcare, education, housing, childcare, like the way we're supposed to do as a responsible government. I want to go back to square one over again. We are playing catch up by cleaning up their mess first, but we're moving forward. Do not elect a government who's going to throw us under the bus again. We must move forward by investing in British Columbia. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Vernon Wang, BC Greens.
Thank you so much. I definitely appreciate today's debate. It's quite tight, but it's interesting. I got lots of friends here. BC Greens here, thank you so much. Invite BC Green and Vernon Wang here. BC Green here not just give the, exercise democracy and bring the different source idea we call the fresh air. It's not enough. Why? You can see what. I come here, fix the problem. What's the problem in the system? Last 30 years, we can see NDP. Liberal, NDP. Repeat again. Lost residents in here, I ask, are you voting? No interest. I don't vote. They tied. Repeat A and B, B and B and A, throwing board. They want different idea, different thoughts. I'm not the troublemaker. I'm the trouble fix. So the BC Green here, we try to share the power. At least one. We want make them accountable. And the accountable makes them responsibility is benefit for the people, for the residents here. So think about BC Green and Vernon Wang is here, stand for what? Of course, for you. Thank you.
Thank you. Jaden Delatorre.
First off, I just want to say thank you to the Richmond Chamber of Commerce for inviting me out here along with my fellow candidates to talk about the issues that are important, as well as the audience for asking questions and the moderators for helping us out throughout the debate. I just want to reiterate to people that, there is an important choice you'll be making in this election, and that choice is who's going to be working hard for your family. We know the record of the Liberal government. For the 16 years they were in power, we saw what happened under them. We saw tax cuts for the wealthy, we saw defunding of the public services, and we saw a housing crisis. I'm proud of the hard work that has been accomplished under the 3 years in government under John Horgan and the BC NDP. We've accomplished more in government that they couldn't do in 16 years. We've invested into education, we've invested into healthcare, we invested into public infrastructure, we invested back into people. And what I want to say to people is that I believe it's time that Richmond gets a better voice. You've had Liberal MLAs for the last 29 years or so. I believe it's time that you have someone who's on your side. It's time that you have someone who's working hard for you, and that's what you get when you send the NDP to Victoria. Richmond deserves a stronger voice, and it's time that you elect MLAs who'll be working hard for you, who'll be working hard for your families, and who'll be listening to your concerns. And that's what we'll bring to the table if we are lucky enough to be elected as your next NDP MLAs. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And Alexa Liu.
Thank you. Thank you to the moderators. Thank you, doctors, for hosting this, for putting this on tonight, doing such a great job. Thank you to the Chamber of Commerce for hosting this in the first place. You guys are always supporting democracy and finding out what's best and working hard for the economy and for our businesses and for people. The BC Liberal government has a 5-year plan to have a balanced budget. When the BC Liberal government left, they left a $2.8 billion surplus that the NDP blew through with their community benefit agreements and other spendthrift ways. They dumped $100 million into just to break the contracts to not build a Massey crossing. They have no ability to ever get the economy back, to get the finances back in the black. They don't have that ability. The only thing they've done is increase taxes. They've brought in 23 new taxes. They haven't increased the tax base of how you actually earn that money through prosperity like the Liberals were able to do. They just keep taxing more people. They keep creating more us versus them. Somebody has to be the loser instead of everybody thriving. What we're going to do, the BC Liberals, we're going to build the acute care tower. During the last tenure, the BC Liberals built 14 hospitals. The NDP built 0. So to say that the Liberals don't do anything is a lie, and it's wrong. The BC Liberals build hospitals. That's what they do. We're also going to improve access. We're also going to support innovation, supporting investment in infrastructure and education. We're going to create more opportunity for everyone with a real $10 a day childcare program to get people working who want to work, a $20 a day for people who can afford a little bit more, and $30 a day for people up to $125,000. We're going to support the supply chain so people can get the goods that they need and things that they need. We're going to improve transportation infrastructure. We're going to give people a leg up, not a handout. And we're going to do it by creating prosperity for everyone. On October 24th.
I don't mean to be rude, but you're way over time. So I'm afraid we almost got through the debate with no muting, but in any case, apologies for that.
So I think we're at concluding remarks now. I would like to thank all of our candidates for joining us today. They are taking the brave step to put themselves forward as leaders, and we have to commend them for it. Thank you to everyone who logged into our Zoom or Facebook to join us today. And a huge thank you to Drs. Millard and Vezina for being such excellent moderators. Graciously, they've agreed to do it all over again tomorrow night. And kudos as well to my acting co-CEO, Dan Zakacki, who's done such a diligent job of timing today and keeping us all to time. So thank you all. I believe you have enough time now to grab a bite before the leaders debate gets going at 6:30. I would like to just thank you for spending your time with us today. For folks who are voting in Richmond-Steveston or Richmond-Queensborough, we have the debate happening tomorrow evening from 4:30 to 6 p.m. In the same format as this. And I believe there are still a few Zoom spots to be had if you register on our website. With that said, thank you. Have a great evening, and we will see you soon.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you, Shana. Thank you, Dan.
Thanks, everyone.
Have a
Have a
great
good night.
evening.